There was some commotion on Clara's street that night. A young man had fallen out of a tree and injured himself. A peeping Tom, apparently. From her bedroom window, Clara watched a police officer put the man in the back seat of a cruiser with its red and blue lights flashing. As the car drove past, the man happened to glance up at Clara's window, and though there was no way he could have seen her standing there in the dark, Clara stepped away from the window and waited for the car to pass. She was reminded just then of her older brother Dean, and immediately felt guilty for thinking of Dean in the same light as a peeping Tom, as if Dean were there with her and could read her mind. What reminded Clara of Dean was not the peeping Tom's intentions, which she had gathered from the gossiping neighbors talking loudly outside her bedroom window. It was the fact that he had climbed up into the branches of a tree. As kids, Clara and Dean regularly climbed to the topmost branches of the oak tree in their backyard. They made a sport of it. Sometimes they found themselves climbing branches that were much too thin to support their weight for any length of time. They'd sway from side to side as if clinging to giant metronomes. It was exhilarating, and also dangerous. But they never got hurt, not climbing trees. She and Dean would climb as high as they could, stay there long enough to say they'd done it, and then carefully shimmy down to a sturdier branch where they'd sit and talk. Dean once surprised Clara by pulling from his pocket a small bag of black licorice, Clara's favorite. They sat there and ate it all, their fingers sticky and sweet. Dean was in love with a girl named Kristen back then. She was all he could talk about. He told Clara that he wanted to marry Kristen. He said he wanted to have babies with her. Clara laughed, but then saw the hurt expression on Dean's face and apologized. She said that Kristen seemed like a nice girl, and that she was very pretty, and their babies were sure to be adorable. Dean was 16 then. Clara was 2 years younger. Clara wonders whatever happened to Kristen. What was it she wanted to be back then? Clara remembers that it was something very specific. A sports therapist? What high schooler even knew what that was back then? Although Clara was one to talk, she had decided at age 10 that she was going to be an entomologist. And she was. Clara doesn't remember where their younger sister Gwen was all those times she and Dean climbed the tree in the yard, only that she wasn't there climbing alongside them. Clara does remember where their mother was, though, inside the house with all the blinds closed. Their mother didn't forbid them from climbing the tree, but she said she didn't want to see them fall, and that's why she closed the blinds. If their father was home, he would sometimes watch from the yard, shouting up instructions or imploring them to be careful. Only once did he climb the tree with them. It was the only time that Clara ever saw her father smile so openly, so unself-consciously. He was a serious man, and it turned out deeply unhappy for most of his life. He'd had a difficult childhood, though he rarely spoke of it. He climbed past both his children on his way up the tree, and stayed there long after they had both descended. Clara and Dean sat in the grass and watched as their father, balanced on a branch high in the tree, looked out over the neighborhood, his hand forming a brim above his eyes, a broad smile on his face. It must have been 20 minutes or more before he finally climbed down. He was still smiling. That winter, Dean went on a ski trip to Colorado with a friend. Clara, Gwen, and their parents drove Dean to the airport. He grinned back at them and waved as he headed through security, his ski boots slung over his shoulder. That was the last time Clara saw him alive. 2 days later, while skiing down the side of a mountain, Dean fell and hit his head on a rock. He managed to get back up and ski down the rest of the mountain, but the next morning when his friend tried to wake him, he was dead. Clara's father had to fly to Colorado to retrieve the body. That's how everyone referred to Dean then, as the body. Clara kept correcting her parents. "It's not a body, it's Dean," she said. "You're going to get Dean." Her parents said nothing. Clara was surprised by the way grief changed her mother. While her father sank into himself, deeper and deeper until there was nothing left, Clara's mother's grief hardened into anger and resentment, into an icy bitterness that surrounded her until the day she died. She spent months, years, looking for something or someone to blame for Dean's death. Dean's friend, the ski resort, the entire state of Colorado, the exposed rock on the side of that mountain. the mountain itself. She told Clara once that if she could, she'd stuff that mountain with dynamite and blow it and everyone on it to kingdom come. The mountain didn't kill Dean, Clara said. It was just an accident. For years after Dean died, Clara would climb the tree in their yard on his birthday. She'd sit up there alone, looking out over the neighborhood, eating black licorice with fingers that were sticky and sweet. She continued this tradition even after moving out of her parents' house. She once climbed a tree in the park of a city she was visiting to attend a conference. A colleague happened to see Clara in the tree and asked what she was doing up there. In response, Clara offered him a piece of licorice. He climbed up and joined her, but she never did explain to him why she was in the tree eating licorice in the first place. Stepping back in front of the window, Clara saw that the police car was long gone and all the neighbors had returned to their homes. The street light in front of her house was burnt out and the street was dark, or mostly dark. The other street lights were still illuminated and cast fading shadows on the street and sidewalk. It was nearly dawn. Clara heard a bird call that sounded like an owl, though it could have been a mourning dove. How appropriate, she thought, climbing back into bed. But then the bird called out again, and it was clear to Clara that it had been an owl all along. Somewhere down the street, a dog barked once and was quiet.